Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I'm John Clark along with Ike Reese and Mike Quick. And the Birds are still undefeated. 7-0 for just the second time in team history. Ike Reese happened to be on the other team. Congratulations. So tell me about the challenges, though, coming off this win, 2 games in 5 days.
Well, I tell you, first of all, it's just great to get the W coming off the bye week. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get coming off the bye week. It's great to see that these guys were able to get back to work last week, get refocused, and they understand what the task is at hand. And this is the second part of the season. They got it off to a great start by getting the win against Pittsburgh.
In these Thursday night games, you barely have time to practice. So they really have to rest up. They really have to refocus. But Ike, you know this. You played in the league. You can't take any teams lightly. Regardless of the Texans' record, they have to make sure that they're sharp against this football team to keep this thing rolling. On such a short week, you have to take care of the little details, but most importantly, you've got to get your rest and get ready, recover, and get ready for this game.
So this week here on Tape Study presented by Chickies and Pete's, I want to take a deep look into the new Eagles defensive end, Robert Quinn. They acquired him last week with a trade with the Chicago Bears. How is he going to fit into this Eagles defense? Well, I think when you look at Robert Quinn, one of the reasons why this guy has over 100 sacks in his career is that he can win at every stage of the rush. And it starts with a quick first step. We look back to a play last year against the Detroit Lions. You're going to see him win off the ball here with his first step. Now, it's not just about the first step with Robert Quinn, because when you have that first phase of the rush, yeah, he can win off the ball, but he also can win at the second phase, and that's at the top of the rush when he has to initiate contact with the offensive lineman or beat his hands and get the corner. That's exactly what you're going to get here from Robert Quinn, where he's going to throw a little ghost move. He's going to pretend like he's going to win with a long arm and get inside the pads of the offensive tackle, but then really quickly, he's going to wipe through, dip, and watch the flexibility there to turn the corner. He's got rare bend, the ability to turn that corner and then get home. And this is the third phase of the rush. Look at that off arm there as he's going to karate chop, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Over 30 fumbles in his career. Keep in mind, 100 sacks, over 30 forced fumbles for Robert Quinn. That's about 1 every 3.5 sacks or so. He is trying to get the ball back for his offense. And so when you look at his ability to create the big play, that's why he's been one of the most feared pass rushers in the entire NFL over the course of his career. Outstanding play there for Robert Quinn. Now, let's fast forward a bit. Let's take a look at exactly what he did this past weekend against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It didn't result in a sack fumble, but you saw all the different stages of the rush. This is Robert Quinn lined up at right defensive end. And again, you see that first step quickness, but you also see the ability to win at the top of the rush. This time, he's going to win with a couple of swipe moves here to clear the hands of the offensive tackle. Once again, you see that flexibility in his lower half to turn the corner. And then what's he doing with that off arm? He's attacking the throwing arm of the quarterback. He just misses here on a sack fumble. Nearly could have been a huge play in the second half. So with Robert Quinn, you've got a guy that can win off the ball with his first step. He can win at the top of the rush, and he can get the ball back for your offense. A very productive pass rusher who knows how to get the ball back. That's a huge asset now for this Eagles defensive line.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery, there's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.
Hey, goals for this week, right? We talked about turnovers, right? We didn't have any turnovers, we forced 2. Jalen and AJ didn't let us get into the red zone very much. We were 1 of 1 in the red zone. They were 1 of 3. All right, so great job there. We played a clean football game. That's really important. AJ had 3 touchdowns, 156 yards. I don't got a game ball to throw to you, but you get a game ball, okay? And then Jalen, 140 quarterback rating, 4 touchdowns. All right, let's make sure our bodies are in the best shape they can be in for Thursday night. Remember, the weather's an advantage for the team that thinks it's an advantage. The Thursday night game's an advantage to the team that thinks it's an advantage. It's going to be an advantage for us. We got the right people in place. A lot to be thankful for. Let's pray.
All right, the Eagles secondary. We have seen some good things out of them this year. You got Slay, Bradbury, you've got Avonte Maddox. What has impressed you the most about this secondary?
The versatility back there. I mean, the fact that you can kind of switch these guys around, particularly C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Avonte Maddox, whether you want to have one guy play nickel, the other guy play safety, they have that ability. And we're looking at arguably the best secondary in football. These guys are taking the ball away. They play the run and the pass. And the fact that Jonathan Gannon can either go man or zone as a strength on the defensive side of the ball, this is the best secondary we've had around here in a while.
Well, and you know the guy who's really the pass game coordinator on that back end, Bernard Wilson. He's done a heck of a job in moving these guys around, moving the pieces on the board. You talk about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think he can play anywhere. Avonte Maddox, he's proven that he can play anywhere that they need him to play. And the cornerbacks right now, they're a pair of the best cornerbacks in all of football. This is a good secondary.
Yeah, and they know where that ball is. They play the ball. And they're going to be facing a quarterback in Houston maybe they're not too familiar with. Let's get some enemy intel on Davis Mills from Greg Cosell, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
I spend a lot of time studying college quarterbacks, and Davis Mills, the quarterback of the Texans, was a fascinating study for one simple reason. He only started 11 games at Stanford. That is not a lot of games in college before you get to the NFL. And he had to play last year as a rookie, and quite honestly, he did pretty well for someone with such little experience at the college level. So now he's in his second season, and you watch Mills on tape, and there's a lot of traits that you like. He's got a good arm. He's strong in the pocket. Now, he's not going to make spectacular second reaction plays. He's not going to break the pocket and run around. And some view that as a problem in today's NFL for quarterbacks. But when all's said and done, Mills can stand and deliver the football with toughness from the pocket, with precise ball location. And one throw he makes exceptionally well is the deep dig. And you see that here against the Bears. The outside receiver running the dig will be Brandon Cooks. This is not an easy throw. He's throwing the ball with some distance. This throw needs some velocity, and it's firm. So you're not just driving this ball at 100 miles an hour, but it does need velocity, but it does need that little firmness to it as well. The thing I really like about this throw is he's going to take a shot just as he delivers. But as I said, he is willing to stand in the pocket and deliver. So if this offensive line can protect Davis Mills, he's going to have the opportunity against the Eagles defense to make some throws at the intermediate levels. Those throws he can make. So the big issue for the Eagles is to be able to get to Davis Mills, get him somewhat rattled, get him maybe stuck in the pocket, get him to move. Because if you allow him to stand, feel comfortable with what he sees, and deliver the football, he can make the kinds of throws that can sustain offense and get the ball into the end zone.
All right, so you heard Greg mention the middle of the field right there that Davis Mills likes to attack. Well, how about the Eagles linebackers this year, Ike? They've been very, very good.
Yeah, good luck trying to attack this defense in the middle with T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White playing here. Both guys do a great job. Let's take a look here versus the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to see where Kaiser White is lined up out here on number 2. At the snap of the ball, his job, because the back is offset, that's T.J.'s responsibility. His job is if number 2 crosses his face, he has to carry. Kaiser does a great job anticipating CeeDee Lamb coming across the middle. Does a nice job running right with him. He sees that Cooper Rush wants to get him the ball here, and he does a great job, not pass interferencing on the wide receiver, but getting his arm around him and being able to get a deflection on this ball here. That was a key play. Second play of the game right there against the Dallas Cowboys. And then later in the game, you're gonna watch T.J. Edwards here, right? You get another bunch set here with 3 wide receivers. These linebackers are responsible for number 2 and number 3. You're gonna see number 2 go up the field. Kaiser stays on his outside. Watch how T.J. Edwards anticipates number 3 coming under the tight end, picks him up, no problem, Another pass breakup for the linebackers right there. I've seen Kaiser White and TJ Edwards make very similar plays like this, seemingly almost every game, that they are breaking up a pass. Great job by these linebackers. And I love the fact that they have quiet feet, meaning that they aren't panicking just because they got an athletic guy coming against them. They understand the concept of the defense, and more importantly, they have confidence in their skills to be able to cover these guys. Great job by both of those linebackers.
Quiet feet, no false steps. I love TJ Edwards, and I think he's one of the best players on this football team. If you put a stopwatch on him, he doesn't run very fast, but he's instinctive. He knows what teams are doing. He's right away making that step towards the ball, towards the play, to make the play. You mentioned Kaiser White. I'll take it back a little bit further. He was a cornerback and then goes to safety at West Virginia, now a linebacker. So he has all these skills to play the pass game. As a linebacker, it's tough to get a ball in on Kaiser White and that group.
Really nice job. Milton Williams this time.
Oh, my goodness. Gardner Johnson. Oh, my goodness. Look at Hargrave get in there on him. Oh, boy. Oh, there's the pick.
And you may now officially say the 7-0 Philadelphia Eagles undefeated.
That has a great ring to it.
All right, a good win against the Steelers, and that Eagles running game still flying high. And how about the multiple running game that they have? They've got a lot of optionality with that. So against the Texans team that hasn't defended the run very well, what are you looking for specifically from the Eagles running game?
Well, it all begins with the offensive line, and we know that. You've got one of the best offensive lines in all of football, and then you got behind that O-line, Miles Sanders. And when you give him the ball this year, it just seems like he's on a mission. He finds the hole, he's pressing the hole, he's not bouncing it as much, he's getting north-south with the football, and it's tough to defend when you've got these 300-plus-pound guys that are moving people around. That's the key. This offensive line and the way they can move people, and then you've got a determined running back like Miles Sanders behind those guys, and then you throw in a little Kenny Gainwell and some Boston Scott. It sets up for a really good run game.
Don't forget about the X factor, Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts being a part of this running game. As a defense, where do you start to try to defend this running game? You have a great offensive line up front. You got Miles back there that you know if you don't get to him quick, he can break it out on you. And then you got Jalen, who is not only a smart runner, he's a strong runner as well. So he has the ability to break tackles, pick up those key third downs if need be. I love what they do in the run game here because as a defense, it's hard to figure out who's getting the ball in certain situations.
Yeah, you got the RPO, the zone read. Yeah. The Texans defense is going to have to be prepared. So what about that Houston defense? Here's a little enemy intel with Greg Cosell, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
When you play against Lovie Smith's Houston Texans defense, quite honestly, there's not a lot of mystery from a tactical perspective. It's an execution defense. They line up and they play. When it comes to the passing game, they rush 4. They don't blitz very much at all. Coverage, they play more cover 2 than any team in the NFL. By NFL standards, it's a pretty high percentage. So, what does that mean? That means that as an offense, you know what you're going to get. Doesn't mean it's easy, but you know what you're going to get. So it's an execution style defense because there's not a lot of scheming and tactical differentiation involved. But as an offense, you must be firm. You must execute play after play after play. That's what Lovie Smith demands of every offense. Some offenses do it better than others. So let's take a look at their staple, which is cover 2. And here's a great example. They play this about as well as you can play it. This is against the Broncos. And in cover 2, what do you get? 2 deep safeties, and you get a middle hole defender who will run the seam with any inside vertical. And here, the inside vertical is Cortland Sutton, a really good receiver. Now, Russell Wilson is going to see the back of Christian Kirksey. He's the middle hole defender. so he throws the ball. But Jalen Petrie, the rookie safety, he comes over and he hits Sutton, and that allows Kirksey to take the ball away from Sutton for the interception. So a perfect example of just playing the cover 2 defense exactly the way you want to play it. You get your fastest linebacker running the middle hole seam, staying with the wide receiver, Sutton, one of the better ones in the league, and you get your rookie safety in position to make a hit and dislodge the football for the turnover. So for the Eagles offense, they'll know what they're going to get. They'll study tape all week. They'll know what it looks like. They'll know what they're going to get, both from a pass rush and a coverage perspective. There will not be a lot of mystery. So for the Eagles offense, this game will be about executing their plan, snap after snap after snap.
Yeah, the Texans and Lovie Smith, they love to run that cover 2. Nobody runs the cover 2 defense more than the Texans this year, but the Steelers, not far behind. They run it a lot as well. So give me an idea of what that presents to the Eagles offense and what they can do against it.
Well, there are opportunities there when a team likes to run cover 2, and they have the cover 2 zone beaters in, and you keep that, but if you're going to have a light box, why not run the football? And that's what the Eagles do extremely well. They run the football. Watch this play. It's a simple zone read, but you've got linebackers on this team that like to be nosy. And watch, they're so concerned about Jalen Hurts and his ability to hold on to the football and go around the edge. They've got the contained guy on the outside. He's watching Jalen. But watch that linebacker on the play side. He's going to step to the outside, expecting Jalen to hold on to it. Watch how clean the front side block is. The backside is well blocked. And it's just a perfectly executed play because that linebacker gets a little bit nosy. If they're going to play cover 2, it's fine. It's a lighter box. Run the football and take advantage of a lighter box.
I tell you, as a linebacker, man, it is so difficult to defend this type of a running scheme.
Yes.
I mean, Mike's right. That linebacker there, he's so anxious to get to the outside because he's worried about Jalen, and that's not his responsibility. His responsibility is that front side A-gap. So when you're playing a running scheme like the Eagles, who have an offensive line as good as they are, it can force a linebacker to get out of his responsibility and character, only because he feels like he's at a disadvantage and he's trying to get there sooner rather than later, man. I tell you, facing this type of an offense with the running game, the quarterback that runs the ball as well, and then you have the athletic interior linemen, when you look at Kelsey and Landon Dickerson and Sayamalu, man, it can be hard for a linebacker trying to defend this type of run game.
How about the screen game?
I mean, that makes it even harder because these guys are very athletic when they get out on the perimeter. And in today's game, so many of the linebackers aren't as big as they were 30, 40 years ago, right? I mean, when you had to be 240 pounds. So they're lighter, so they don't like to take on blocks as much. They want to run around blocks. And that's a benefit to the offense because these linemen, they can just push you right past the play.
Welcome back to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. And how about this? It's the first of 3 primetime matchups for the Eagles in the month of November. So there's going to be some great one-on-one matchups this month. Who are you looking at one-on-one matchups?
I really like Derek Stingley against Devontae Smith. Both these guys played against each other in college, and 2 of the best players at their positions in football. Both are top 10 picks. I think that's going to be a great matchup. And, many times I want to watch like the interior and what's going on inside. I think I'm going to have a little more focus on the outside and watching these 2 guys in this game.
I'm not buying that Mike wants to watch O-line and D-line go against each other. He's a wide receiver.
We know it.
So I know that. So I'll take Josh Sweat going up against Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil, former first-round draft pick. This kid, I think his career has taken off since he's gotten to Houston. You could say he's one of the best pass-protecting tackles in all of football. So Josh Sweat is going to have his work cut out for him. And I love the heavyweight matchup on the outside. Defensive end, left tackle. Let's go.
I like it. Prime time. All right. Eagles have a chance to go to 8-0 for the first time in team history. This is a big one. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan, presented by Toyota. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local tri-state Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery. There's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.